I'm Joshua Skid Pro. This is our famed X4 industrial brush cutter. Let's go take it for a test drive. So this is a T86. This can go in high flow or super high flow. I just put it in regular high flow. It can certainly handle the pressure of super flow. We'll switch it up as we drive at a point here. Okay, right trigger, starts continuous flow. Turn up the RPMs, there she spooled. One of the first things on the X4, and that's any X4, the piston, the 72, the high flow, the standard flow, the design of the cutter has a tall deck, and that really helps with the throughput and cutting and not getting all that bunching, and it just helps a ton with capacity. Then one negative is the corner. If you're not used to the cutter, you got to run it up a little bit. You can't run your loader arms all the way down because that heel will drag and you'll be scalping and you'll just be kind of struggling as you power through. It turns it into more of a dozer blade on the sides. We want to keep that up, so I lift it up just a bit. I can see it in the Bobcat anyways. I can see right where it's at, and then I run my tip forward if I need. There you can see we've got the corners and the open deck so we can catch material. We got a couple down trees. You can see I did get a little bit, I did scalp a little bit with the front. That toe part of it is always important. Okay, so here I got brush in front of me like this. I can come up with the cutter and then kind of come down over the top. And you certainly leave some bigger pieces on occasion. That is part of the deal with a brush cutter. Again, here's a pretty tall sumac. You can come over the top, or you can also kind of do one of these. The nice thing about coming down over the top of them slightly is the roots are still in the ground, and you can cut that trunk into some smaller pieces. Versus like that one now is going to be a little bit harder for me to chew up once it's already down. I can get the top part, but then that bottom part can end up being left there. So this is a down oak tree. Somebody mulched, but it will show you kind of what we're talking about here. You can come down over the top of brush. Just mulch it up, and then I back drag with that front. Put that nose down and back drag. Now you think about that, that is a big oak tree. And that piston motor just powers right through it. And I back drag with the nose down, you can see that. I like to come in with it up. It just helps for preventing the skidding, and then I tip it forward and back drag. And that gets me that fine reduction in debris size. So here's some buckthorn. Invasive species. Hello. Get that sucker off so I can see what I'm doing. It's an invasive species. It's very woody and stemmy, and it's just a pain to kind of cut. You can see. But you can also see how when you back drag, come down over the top, and then back drag out. Same thing here. I get that nose down, and it really helps annihilate stuff. Here's some stuff that was mulched. Let's go ahead and fine cut that again. Again, this is crazy thick and a tough attachment to cut. There you come over the top. I got the hillside working against me. So just go back in. Tilt back. I don't want to raise up. I never want to see the blades, obviously. But I can raise that up and then nose forward. It just helps reduce all that. Debris. You can see it gets multiple hits at it. There you can see on the hillside we got a stem left. Come in, now we back drag. We can get her right at ground level. Got my back up slightly. You bring it right down to ground level. So depending on how much time and what the contract requires, you can really decrease the debris size by a couple of passes. Here's that back dragging. You can see it just helps to really break up the different debris. Now, a brush cutter is not a mulcher. There's probably a 5-inch tree. Again, that buckthorn is really a kind of a tough tree, but here's how we'd go down over the top. Again, tilt back. I don't want to raise it way up. I don't really want to get any higher in here, but the brush cutter's got a nice reach. I'm going to just come in and mow down. And I'm going to clean up. So even though it's not a mulcher, this cutter is next level. Very, very few, if any, other cutters in the industry can compete with the capacity of this unit, which again is in big part because of the drive system. And here's kind of a brush pile. We're going to go ahead and back drag out of that. You can see how we kick that out. It also handles heavy, thick grass. Here's some reed canary grass in a low-lying area. It handles it awesome. And a lot of the high-flow cutters out there do not. They run like a double-plated flywheel and short hammer blades, and they just really struggle in the heavy, thick grass. And that's one thing this cutter does awesome. Even our standard flow, but the high flow definitely does. Oh, get a little bit low, sinking down. So just wanted to showcase that. When it comes to traditional brush, this thing is like a monster. Here's a big ash tree. Let's take a look let's see what this thing does. Probably a 5-6 inch, I'm not sure. So again, on this, I want to take it at that crotch at least, so I can get the big chunks while as small as I can. Again, it's not a mulcher. It's not going to take down a tree as fast. But what's awesome with this one is if you run into a tree and you're half mile or a half hour from your vehicle or chainsaw, you can just take it. No problem. You can see there we got that down to ground level. Again, this stuff, I like to tip my front up and go to town. You can handle stuff like this all day long. So come in. Just mow it down. I'm going to just back tray, clean it up. You can see how in just 2 passes it does just an awesome job. Again, if you're not comfortable raising up, you can simply drive forward, boom, knock her down. Now if you want to get back at it as much as you can, go ahead and start chopping. And then I'll go back and get the stump or the trunk here as best I can. Nose down, a little too far down. There, you can see it fed through. And that's about all you're going to get. Go over it a couple more times, down to about a 3-foot chunk. So, there you go. That's how to use that cutter. Well, there you have it. If you have questions about this or anything else on our vegetation management lineup, give the guys at the office a call or visit us online at skidpro.com. And as always, our promise to you, better products, better service, happier customers.